Welcome to Bookaccino Live. It is our last Bookaccino Live preview event of the year. We're going to be doing something different in December, and we have a lot of books to share. And we combine November and December, just so you know, so because not that much comes out in December, so we do it this way so we can get you the max number of books that are coming out in the next, like really till the end of the year. These were your top picks from October's presentation. The first one is John Grisham's The Widow, and I am actually listening to this right now on audio, and I am completely enjoying it. Oops. Next is The First Time I Saw Him by Laura Dave, which is coming out first week in January. And I'm reading this right now and really enjoying it. It's a picking up of where the last thing he told me ends, and this is where we go from there. It's very well done. The writing's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. Queen Esther by John Irving. We've got a review of it this week, and this is a book my husband's reading. We've got Wreck by Catherine Newman, which I believe we reviewed a week ago. For Mitch Albom, we've got Twice. Then Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben's Gone Before Goodbye. And Last Call Savoy by Brissa Carlton. I am going to be interviewing her tomorrow. This was our holiday cheer book this week. She is so much fun to talk to. And we talk about all kinds of cocktails because that is what's happening at the Last Call at the Savoy. And it's just a really, really fun book. And I'm glad you guys were so excited about it as well. Let's start with some fiction. I'm going to start out with Evensong by Stuart Onan. It's on sale this week. Love this. The Humpty Dumpty Club is distraught when their powerhouse leader, Joan Hargrove, takes a bad fall down her stairs, knocking her out of commission. Now, as well as running errands and shepherding those less able to their doctor's appointments, they have to pick up the slack. Between navigating their own relationships and aging bodies and attending choir practice, these invisible yet indomitable women help where they can. In the face of death, divorce, and myriad directions our lives can take, the Humpty Dumpty Club represent the power of community and chosen family. Weaving together the perspectives of four cardinal members as they tend to those in need, Stuart Onan revisits beloved characters from his past work, most notably Emily Maxwell. So there you go. Sounds really fun. Next, we've got Falling Apart and Other Gifts from the Universe by Catherine Ryan Hyde. It's also out this week. An Army veteran with a career as a beat cop behind her, security guard Addie Finch finds Jonathan, a homeless teenager abandoned by his mother, holed up in a warehouse and vulnerable to the elements and to predators. Touched by the boy's gentle nature and a wisdom beyond his years, Addie offers him temporary shelter in her garden shed in exchange for maintaining the sprawling property. It's an act of kindness and purpose that means the world to Jonathan. But when Addie faces a situation that sends her internal world tumbling, the emotional connection with Jonathan becomes her lifeline as well. As both process past trauma, Addie and Jonathan forgo a surrogate grandmother grandson bond and chosen family that could restore trust, heal hearts, and that they thought were broken forever. So there you've got another beautiful story about found family. Next, we've got Some Bright Nowhere by Ann Packer, which is out this week. And it's really interesting because I saw something about this book last week that made me want to read it. So I wrote the publisher and I said, "Oh, could you send me a copy?" And it didn't arrive as quickly as something normally would. And then I saw it was the Oprah pick. And I realized one of the reasons I didn't get it is because it's probably got the Oprah seal on the front, and you're not supposed to see that in advance. So it's on its way. I think it's arriving tomorrow. So I can't wait to read it. Elliot and his wife Claire have been happily married for nearly 4 decades. But 8 years after Claire was diagnosed with cancer, the end is near, and it's time to gather loved ones and prepare for the inevitable. Over the years of Claire's illness, Elliot has shifted into the role of caregiver. But as he focuses on settling into what would be their last days and weeks together, Claire makes an unexpected request that leaves him reeling. In a moment, his carefully constructed world is shattered. What if your partner dying wish broke your heart? How well do we know the deepest desires of those we love deeply? As Elliot is confronted with this profound turning point in his marriage and his life, he grapples with the man and husband he's been and with the great unknowns of Clara's last days. Sounds really, really interesting. And I did not watch the Oprah interview with her yet. I will put that in the newsletter that goes out on Friday. I'll put a link to that. Next, we've got The Heir Apparent by Rebecca Armitage, and people are talking about this one as just being terrific. It's from Cardinal, which is a new imprint over at Hachette, and it's coming on December 2nd. So it's New Year's Day in Australia, and the life Lexi Villiers has carefully built is working out nicely. She's in the second year of her medical residency. She lives on a beautiful farm with her two best friends, Finn and Jack, and she's about to finally become more friendly with Jack when a helicopter abruptly lands. Out stepped her grandmother's right-hand man with the tragic news that her father and older brother have been killed in a skiing accident. Lexi's grandmother happens to be the Queen of England, and Lexi now must accept the reality that she's suddenly next in line to the throne, a role that she has publicly disavowed. Returning to London as the heir apparent Princess Alexandra, Alexandrina, Lexi is greeted by a skeptical public, not ready to forgive her defection, a grieving sister-in-law harboring an explosive secret, and a scheming uncle determined to claim the throne himself. Everybody says this is like a great fun, and I love that something really great fun is coming December 2nd. Next, we've got Run for Your Life, Callie Kingman by Ali Frank and Asha Humans. I've been following these two since their first book came out. I'm dying to see what they do this time around. This is coming December 30th. 2 decades have passed since Callie Kingman begrudgingly followed her husband Thomas across the country in pursuit of his career at the expense of her own. Today, Callie is an empty nester with no job prospects, declining mother, and a spouse who announces his intention to leave her in Sacramento, the dullest city in America. His parting potshot, "It's not me, it's you." Nice, huh? Taking to bed, Callie relies on delivery for food, her neighbors for booze, and her college best friend for commiseration. When an overdue annual exam leads to health scare, Callie is forced to contend with her fractured and unfulfilled life by revisiting the vibrant, indomitable woman she used to be. So there we go. Run for your life, Callie Kingman. They always write with humor as well. So this should be fun. Next, we've got Order of Royals coming from Jude Devereaux on January 6th. And this is the second book in her Blue Swan series following Order of Swans. Princess Ardelia is trapped in the iron grip of her evil and powerful aunt, Queen Olena. Navigating the treacherous waters of political machinations and familial duties, Ardella discovers allies in unexpected places, including Tannic, a swansman with his own mysterious connections. Set in a world where royalty, magic, and mythical beings coexist, Aradella's path is intertwined with that of Kaylee Aarons, an earthling who's become deeply entangled in the planet's intricate social hierarchy, as she's faced with a choice between her homestead and newfound love. As Aradella and her companion uncover dark secrets and hidden agendas, they embark on an adventure filled with loyalty, romance, and courage, where the lines between magic and reality blur, but when love has the power to transform destinies. What's really interesting about Jude is every January she takes off on a world cruise for usually like 5 months, and she writes on the ship. So every time she gets on the ship, she's got some kind of an idea of what she's going to do, what kind of a book she's going to write, and she sits down and writes while the ship is sailing. And if she gets to a port that she's interested in, she goes. And if not, she just sits on the ship and works. And I find that like really interesting. I always ask her, "Where are you headed next, Jude?" Next, we've got some historical fiction. We're going to start with The Land in Winter by Andrew Miller, and is out this week. December 1962, in a village deep in the English countryside, two neighboring couples begin the day. Local doctor Eric Parry commences his rounds in the village, while his pregnant wife Irene wanders the rooms of their old house, mulling over the space that has grown between the two of them. On a farm nearby, lives a witty but troubled Rita Simmons, who is also expecting. She spends her days trying on the idea of being a farmer's wife, but her head still swims with images of a raucous past that her husband Bill prefers to forget. When Rita and Irene meet across a bare field between their houses, a clock starts. When the ordinary cold of December gives way, ushering in violent blizzards of the harshest winter in living memory, so do secret resentments harbored in all four lives. This book was nominated for the Booker Prize in 2025, and I know that they pushed to move this book up to be out now so that people would be able to buy it more quickly. I think it was scheduled for later. So kudos to them for the prize. Next, we've got Canticle by Janet Rich Edwards, coming from Spiegel and Grau on December 2nd. Elise is 16 years old and prone to religious visions. She and her only friend Finn, a young scholar, have been learning Latin together in secret. But just as she thinks their connection might be something more, everything unravels. When her father promises her in marriage to a merchant she doesn't love, she runs away from home, finding shelter among the Beguines, a fiercely independent community of religious women who refuse to answer to the church. Among these hardworking and strong-willed women, Lise glimpses for the first time the joys of belonging, a life of song, meaning, and friendship in the markets and along the canals of Bruges. But forces both mystical and political are at work. Illegal translations of scripture, the women's independence, and a sudden rush of miracles all draw the attention of an ambitious bishop and brings Elise and those around her into ever increasing danger. There we've got Canticle. Next, we've got The List of Suspicious Things by Jenny Godfrey, on sale end of December. In 1979 in Yorkshire, England, and 12-year-old Miv is panicking. Life has been complicated since her mom got sick, and now her dad is talking about wanting to move their family away from the town Miv has lived her whole life because of the murders. Young women are dying, everyone is afraid, and no one knows who the culprit might be. But as far as Miv is concerned, leaving Yorkshire and her best friend Sharon simply isn't an option. No matter the dangers lurking round their way or the strangeness at home that started the day Miv's mother stopped talking. Perhaps she could solve the case of the disappearing women, they could stay after all. So Miv and Sharon decide to make a list of who these suspicious people are and things on their street. People they know, people they don't. Their search for truth reveals more secrets in their neighborhood, within their families, and between each other than they ever thought possible. And I want to share something. Where you see book group speed dating in the lower left of slides, these were part of our book group speed dating event that we did last Friday. So we want these to be on your radar because these are books that the publisher was presenting and saying they thought would be good for book clubs. Also, we're going to have a copy of that presentation will be, or the link to that presentation will be in the newsletter on Friday, because we've posted the video and the PowerPoints and everything that was connected with the program there. So we wanted you to be able to be involved in as well. It was a trade-only event, which means just for librarians. It was for librarians, booksellers, and big book club leaders, but we also share it with you as time goes on, and we pull books from there to make sure they're on your radar. Next, we've got Meet the Newmans by Jennifer Niven. It's coming on January 6th. For 2 decades, Dell and Dinah Newman and their sons Guy and Shep have ruled television as America's favorite family. Millions of viewers tune in every week to watch them play flawless black and white versions of themselves. But now it's 1964, and the Newmans' idealized apple pie perfection suddenly feels woefully out of touch. Ratings are in free fall, as are the Newmans themselves. Dell is keeping an explosive secret from his wife, and Dinah is going slowly numb, literally. Steady, stable Guy is hiding the truth about his love life, and the charmed luck of rock and roll idol Shep may finally have run out. When Dell is in a mysterious car accident, Dinah hires Julia Dunn, an outspoken, impassioned young reporter, to help her write the final episode. But Dinah and Juliet have wildly different perspectives about what it means to be a woman and a family in 1964. Can the Newmans hold it together to change television history, or will they be canceled before they ever have a chance? So there we've got Meet the Newmans. And it makes me remember when really sitcom television and television about family was a whole different thing than what we're seeing now. Next, we've got Skylark, coming from Paula McLean. This book has been getting a lot of buzz around it. I watched a Simon Selects presentation where they have books that they cull that they want to have the authors come on with their editors and talk about. And I actually caught up and watched it on video last night. And they also had this as part of a library presentation that was done a couple of weeks ago where Paula talked about it. So here's what we've got. Scarlet chronicles 2 parallel journeys of defiance and rescue that connect in ways both surprising and deeply moving. So let's start in 1664. Alouette Voland is the daughter of a master dyer at the famed Gobelin Tapestry Works, who secretly dreams of escaping her circumstances and creating her own masterpiece. When her father is unjustly imprisoned, efforts to save him lead to her own confinement in the notorious Salpetri asylum, where thousands of women are held captive and cruelly treated. But within its grim walls, she discovers a small group of brave allies and the possibility of a life bigger than she ever imagined. Let's go to 1939. Christoph Larsen is a medical student beginning his psychiatric residency in Paris, whose neighbors on the Rue de Gobelins are a Jewish family who have fled Poland. When the Nazi forces descend on the city, Christoph becomes their only hope for survival, even as his work as a doctor is jeopardized. I heard her talking about this book, and when she approached the editor that she worked with on it, Peter Borland, she didn't have everything written and completely clocked out. She was talking about the story. She was talking about what she wanted to do with it. And she said she wanted to do very different time frames, but how the two stories would connect together. So has been getting a lot of talk. You know her as the author of The Paris Wife. So there's a little background for you there. Next, we've got some thrillers and mysteries. We're going to start out with Lee Child and Andrew Child, another Reacher novel called Exit Strategy, out this week. Reacher will make 3 stops today, not all of them planned for. First, a Baltimore coffee shop, a seat in the corner facing the door. Black coffee, 2 refills, no messing around. A minor interruption from 2 of the customers, but nothing he can't deal with swiftly. As he leaves, a young guy brushes against him in the doorway. Instinctively, Reacher checks his pocket, holding his cash and passport. No problem, nothing is missing. Second, a store to buy a coat, because you know if Reacher doesn't carry anything with him, longtime readers know. Nothing fancy, something he can ditch when he heads to warmer climates. Large enough to fit a man the size of a bought bank vault. As he pulls out his cash, he finds something new in his pocket, a handwritten note, a desperate plea for help. Third, wherever this bend in the road takes him, impressed by the guy's technique and intrigued by the message, Reacher makes it his mission to find out more. So there we've got 3 things that are going to be at the 3 stops on Reacher's day. Next, from Janet Ivanovich, we've got The King's Ransom. It's like a stunning cover. It's one of her recovery agent novels. Gabriella Rose, recovery agent extraordinaire, can find just about anything. Too bad she can't seem to lose her gorgeous but infuriating ex-husband, Rafer Jones. And now he needs her help. His cousin Harley is in big trouble. As the president of a too-big-to-fail bank, he invested an astronomical amount of money in insuring some of the world's most precious artifacts at the urging of his board. Seemed like a low-risk, high-reward business move, so he jumped in with both feet. But recently, these insured pieces started going missing, and there's no paper trail of Harley being directed to make these risky investments. Unless the artwork can be covered soon, it looks like Harley is going to be heading to jail as the fall guy in this ingenious crime. Gabriella must travel around the world with Rafer to find the missing works of art, keeping Harley out of jail and to save both his skin and his bank. So, oh, one other thing on the Paul McLean book. One of my friends read it when she was in Paris, and a lot is it's set in Paris. And she said she had a lot of fun walking the streets reading the book. So if anybody's thinking of going to Paris, just know you're going to want to pack the book and take it with you. I love dropping in things like that I heard. Next, from David Baldacci, we've got Nash Falls. Walter Nash has a very high level position at Subarctic Investments, where his innate skills and dogged tenacity have carried him to the top of the pyramid in his business career. However, following his estranged Vietnam veteran father's funeral, Nash is unexpectedly approached by the FBI in the middle of the night. They have an important request: become their inside man to expose an enterprise that is laundering large sums of money through Subarctic. At the top of his legal operations is Victoria Steers, an international criminal mastermind that the FBI has been trying to bring down for years. Nash has little choice but to accept the FBI's demands and try to bring Steers and her partners to justice. But when Steers discovers that Nash is working with the FBI, she turns the tables on him in a way he never could have contemplated. It's one of our word of mouth books this week. We'll get into what that is in a little bit. Next, we've got The Burning Library coming from Jilly McMillan. It is coming on November 18th. On a frigid, windswept day in Scotland's western Breeds, Eleanor Bruton's body is discovered on a shore. Little did Eleanor's family know that she was harboring a dark and all-consuming secret, a scrap of fraying embroidery that seems worthless at first glance. For over a century, two rival organizations of women have gone to deadly lengths to secure the valuable artifact in the hopes of finding the original medieval manuscript from which it was torn. When Dr. Anya Brown garners international attention for her translation of the cryptic Folio 9, she's handpicked by Diana Cornish, a professor and high ranking member of the fellowship, to join the exclusive Institute of Manuscript Studies in St. Andrews. Unbeknownst to Anya, she's been recruited at great personal danger to translate ancient texts that the fellowship believes critical to their mission. So we've got a deadly rivalry, a chilling secret, and one woman who can decipher the truth. Do you ever see I think one time I'm going to do the number of times secrets comes up. Secrets. We haven't gotten, say, let's all is not as it seems. We usually get that with thrillers. Let's see if we get any of those today. We got Evil Bones coming from Kathy Reichs. Small creatures have been turning up throughout Charlotte, North Carolina, mutilated and displayed in a bizarre manner. But one day, Temperance Brennan gets a disturbing call. The perp is upping the ante. This find could be human. Tempe visits the scene and discovers that the victim is a dog. As one who has always found animal cruelty abhorrent, she agrees to help apprehend the person responsible, and she acquires an equally outraged ally in a semi-retired homicide detective, Erskine Skinny Slidell. When then a woman is found disfigured and posed in a manner that mimics the animal killings. Subsequently, people Tempe cares about begin to go missing until it becomes clear that she's being taunted, the target in a sick game, that has her and Slidell racing against a ticking clock and facing a terrifying question: what is pure evil? Next up, from Frederick Forsyth with Tony Kent, we've got Revenge of the Odessa coming on November 18th. Revenge of the Odessa is a long-awaited sequel to the 1972 thriller classic, The Odessa File. You talk about a long-awaited sequel, I think we've got it here. 50 years after revealing the secrets of Odessa, an underground organization of former Nazis angling to regain power, Peter Miller is a retired legend in the journalism community. He spent the last decade caring for his grandson, George, after the death of his son and daughter-in-law in a tragic car accident. By 2025, Odessa has been replaced by Medusa, which has reached a new level of secret power greater than Odessa ever achieved. It's every long-term plan nearing fruition. The subtle rise of the far right of German politics, the dozens of seemingly unconnected patriotic parties growing across Germany's constituent states and districts, the spike in violence and terrorism against Germany's immigrant population, and the angry reaction of her citizens. All are symptoms of a man-made hidden danger, fuel for a planned inferno that must be stopped at all costs. Then we've got Revenge of the Odessa. And if you've been waiting for the follow-up, this is a long time, folks. Next, we've got Best Offer Wins by Marissa Cascino, which is coming on November 25th. At 8 months and 11 lost billing wars into house hunting in the overheated Washington, D.C. suburbs, 37-year-old publicist Margot Miyake gets a tip about the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood, slated to come up for sale in 1 month. Desperate to escape the cramped apartment she shares with her husband, Ian, Margot becomes obsessed with buying the house before it's publicly listed and the masses descend. A little stalking, harmless, but if trespassing, necessary. As Margot infiltrates the homeowners' lives, her tactics grow increasingly unhinged. But just when she thinks she's won them over, she hits a snag in her plan. Undeterred, Margot will prove again and again there's no boundary she won't cross to seize the dream life that she's been chasing. So there we've got best Offer Wins. And Alex Michaelides says, not since Gone Girl have I been so gripped. So there you go. Picture the way the housing market is right now, it's got to be crazy. The Award by Matthew Pearl coming on December 2nd. David Trenton is an aspiring novelist in Cambridge, Massachusetts, trying to navigate his ambitions in a place that has writers around every corner. He lives in an apartment above a very famous author named Silas Hale. Beneath his celebrated image, Silas is a bombastic, vindictive monster who refuses to allow his new neighbor even to make eye contact with him. Until young David wins a prestigious award for his new book. Suddenly, Silas is interested, if intensely spiteful. But soon the administrator of the ward comes to David with alarming news, forcing the writer into a desperate set of circuit choices. Fate intervenes with shocking consequences. There you've got the man like around you that's going to sit there and say, "What? What? He's above who's home?" Now we get next. We have Huguet, and this is by Kara Black. It's coming on December 2nd. After liberation, spring 1945, 17-year-old Huguet Père is a survivor. The war has taken everything from her, both her parents and her sense of safety. Now pregnant and on the lam, she cannot return to her childhood home in Paris. Forced to reinvent herself, she must outrun her father's enemies who want her dead. After narrowly avoiding jail time, thanks to the help of a kind-hearted police officer named Clyde Ledoux, Huguet lands a job assisting a legendary film director. As her role develops from helping him with chores to cooking his books, she sees an opportunity to break free from the ghosts of her past once and for all. So there you've got another great book coming in December. From Eric Van Lustbader, we've got White Wolf coming on December 2nd. In this cutting edge fifth installment of the acclaimed Evan Ryder series, Eric Van Lustbader thrusts readers into a world where power is being redefined by a revolutionary communication program that renders modern encryption obsolete, one that will topple global power structures and give rise to technology driven totalitarian states. Evan Ryder races against time in a landscape where secrets can no longer hide behind digital walls. Ilona Shakova, the elusive deadly assassin White Wolf, holds the key to mastering this unhackable method. Two powerful, deadly women, one quest. Will either of them survive? And there you've got White Wolf. It's got The Bird Watcher from Jacqueline Michard coming on December 9th. She's convicted of a double murder. Felicity Wilde, a brilliant grad student turned high priced escort, declares, "I may not be innocent, but I'm innocent of this." Renee Bigelow never doubted it. A jury may have to give in Felicity a life sentence, but Renee knows that her childhood best friend is not capable of murder. So Renee, a journalist, decides to use her deep connections to Felicity's past to unravel the truth. The more she uncovers, the more Renee is convinced that the story the prosecution told is wrong, despite the puzzling fact that Felicity said not one single word in her own defense. But there's one thing Renee knows for certain: Felicity would never lie. Next, we've got The First Time I Saw Him by Laura Dave. Remember, this is one of the ones you're really looking forward to, coming January 6th. 5 years after her husband Owen disappeared, Hannah Hall and her stepdaughter Bailey has settled into a new life in Southern California. Together, they've forged a relationship with Bailey's grandfather, Nicholas, and are putting the past behind them. But when Owen shows up at Hannah's new exhibition, she knows that she and Bailey are in danger again. As a thrilling drama unfolds, Hannah and Bailey are forced to go on the run in a relentless race to keep their past from catching up with them. Hannah risks everything to get Bailey to safety and finds there just might be one way back to Owen. This really picks up where the last book went off, really picks up where the last uh, scene in the series ended on when it was on Apple. And this is being filmed at the same time. I'm not exactly sure when it's coming out. Something I want to say is coming in February on Apple, but I'm not sure it's the film version of this. I have to get my story straight on that one, but we will have that in the newsletter. Next, we've got The Storm by Rachel Hawkins coming on January 6th. St. Bernard's Bay, Alabama is famous for three things: the deadly hurricanes that regularly sweep into town, the Rosalie Inn, a centuries-old hotel that survived every one of those storms, and Lo Bailey, the local girl infamously accused of the murder of her lover, political scion Landon Fitzroy during Hurricane Marie in 1984. When Geneva Corliss, the current owner of the Rosalie Inn, hears a writer is coming to town to research the crime that put St. Bernard's Bay on the map, she's less interested in solving a whodunit than in how successful true crime book might help the struggling inn's bottom line. But to her surprise, August Fletcher doesn't come to St. Bernard's Bay alone. With him is no unknown other than Lo Bailey herself, Lo says she should return her hometown to clear her name once and for all. But the closer Geneva gets to both Lo and August, the more she wonders if Lo is actually back to settle some old scores. So there we've got the storms. Next, we've got the Viper coming from Brad Meltzer on January 6th. Andrew Feischmeyer is a master at hiding. He spent decades concealing a secret that could get him killed. So when he's diagnosed with a terminal illness, he heads for a local funeral home carrying the blue suit he eventually wants to be buried in. But what no one knows is that Feischmeyer secretly tucks something inside, turning the suit into a final, untraceable hiding spot. It's a perfect plan until Fetch is brutally murdered by a mysterious killer who will stop at nothing to find the priceless object that is hidden in the suit. Wasting no time, the cunning but unconventional Roddy Point opens an investigation into Fetch's murder, recruiting help from his friend, the brilliant Ziggy Zagorowski. But it doesn't take long for Zig to discover the real reason Roddy cares so much about the case. Fetch's death is tied to Roddy's mother, who was murdered decades earlier. So this is one of his Zig and Noah novels. It's been a while since he's written one, and they said that this Alex Michaelides says this is the perfect book to meet Zig and Noah. So there you go. Memoirs, biographies, and other nonfiction. Let's start with Without Consent by Sarah Weinman. It's on sale this week. In 1978, Greta Rideout was the first woman in the United States history to accuse her husband of rape, at a time when the idea of marital rape seemed ludicrous to many Americans, was a crime in only 4 states. After a quick and conservative trial acquitted John Rideout, and a defense lawyer lambasted that maybe rape is the risk of being married, Greta was ridiculed and scorned from public life, while John went on to become a repeat offender. Thrust into the national spotlight, Greta and her story would become a national sensation, a symbol of the country's unrelenting and targeted hate towards women, and a court system designated to fail them at every turn. And now, little remembered trial deserving of close, wide, and lasting attention, Sarah Wyman turns her signature intelligence and journalistic rigor to the enduring impact of this case. So there we go. She also wrote The Real Lolita and Scoundrel. She's got a really good eye for writing nonfiction, especially about stories where women have been wronged. Next, we got The Breath of the Gods by Simon Winchester, also out this week. In 2022, a report was released by atmospheric scientists at the University of Northern Illinois, warning that winds are expected to steadily increase in the years ahead. Well, this prediction worried the insurance industry, government leaders, scientists, and conscientious citizens. One particular segment of society received it with unbridled enthusiasm. The energy industry, rising wind strength and speeds are an unalloyed boon for humankind, a vital source of clean and safe power. Between these two poles, wind as a malevolent force and wind as a savior of our planet, lies a world of fascination, history, literature, science, poetry, and engineering that Simon Winchester explores. In Breath of the Gods, he explains how wind plays a part in our everyday lives, from airport and car travel to the natural disasters that are becoming more frequent and regular. So there we've got Breath of the Gods. What's really interesting, it was like really windy here yesterday. And we've been hearing about trees going down all over town that are just knocking down power lines and whatever. And I'm like, wind increasing? Yes, definitely happening here. Yesterday it was like woo blowing. Now we've got Ain't Nobody's Fool by Martha Ackman coming on December 30th. And guess what it's about? The life and times of Dolly Parton. From impoverished childhood in the Smoky Mountains to international stardom as a singer, songwriter, actress, businesswoman, and philanthropist, Dolly Parton has exceeded everyone's expectations except her own. Ain't Nobody's Fool is a deep dive into the social, historical, and personal forces that made Dolly Parton one of the most beloved and unifying figures in public life, and includes interviews with friends, family members, schoolmates, Nashville neighbors, members of her band, studio musicians, producers, and many others. And also features never before photographs and unearthed documents shedding light on her family's hard scrabble life. I don't know how many of you know what a philanthropist she is about children's literature, making sure she's given away millions of books to children to get them invested in reading and enjoying reading. So Very, very interesting to see how that will be talked about in this book as well. Homeschooled by Stephen Merrill Block comes on January 6th. Stephen Merrill Block was 9 when his mother pulled him from school, certain that his teachers were stifling his creativity. Hungry for more time with her boy who was growing up too quickly, she began to instruct Stefan in the family's living room. Beyond his formal lessons in math, however, Stefan was largely left to his own devices and his mother's erratic whims, such as her project to recapture her 12-year-old son's early years by bleaching his hair and putting on a crawling regimen. That sounds a little strange. Years before homeschooling would become a massive nationwide movement at a time when it had just become legal in his home state of Texas, Stefan vanished into that unseen space and into his mother's increasingly eccentric theories and projects. But when, after 5 years away from the outside world, Stefan re entered the public school system in Plano as a freshman, he was in for a jarring awakening. So there you've got homeschooled and what this means. And Mary Carr says it's a coming of age memoir for the ages. It in turn hilarious and compassionate, furious and faithful. I don't know about the bleaching the 12-year-olds hear him the hair and ask him to crawl, but let's see what happens. Now we got some February titles to look forward to. Okay, this is Blade from Wendy Walker. It's coming on February 1st. Anna Robbins was an Olympic star in the making until tragedy forced her to leave the world behind. At the age of 16, she gave up her dream and never looked back. 14 years later, she's a successful defense attorney, revered for her work with minors. But when her former coach shows up dead, Anna lands right back where it all began and abruptly ended. The Palace, a world-renowned skating facility nestled high in the mountains of Colorado. Anna returns to the palace to defend the young skater accused of the brutal crime, Grace Montgomery. Despite her claims of innocence, all evidence points squarely at Grace's guilt, and she's days away from facing charges of first-degree murder. But Anna's investigation dredges up her childhood memories of her own triggering the fear that permeates this place where she once lived and trained far from home as an orphan. Now, it's really interesting is Wendy Walker was training for the Olympics. She was training to be a figure skater, and she moved out to Colorado. And she was out there really living on her own as a teenager before she gave up her dream of becoming a figure skater and never looked back. She became a lawyer, she became a writer, and people are saying that this is raw, emotional, and razor sharp. And what's interesting is she has added to her website pictures of her skating when she was in her teens. And she's got some pictures, some video of her returning out on the ice now and what it was like to finally hit the ice again after all this time. And to watch what she had done before and to see where she was doing and to think about a teenager living on their own during that time, it's going to definitely give a really good background into this book. Next, we've got The X's by Leodora Darlington, and I had the pleasure of meeting her at a lunch. She was in from the UK. This is Love Brings Out the Villain in All of Us. Let's see. Natalie has only ever wanted to find the one, the perfect man, the happy family she never had. But each time she thinks she's finally getting somewhere, she's bitterly disappointed. Another red line through the list of exes. And that was before the night of the big fallout that left her even more alone. Then along comes James, and Natalie thinks her luck might have finally turned. Maybe he's the one for her. Maybe he's the one that she's been waiting for all along. Maybe he won't wind up dead. But the harder Natalie tries to be a normal wife, the more world upending truths are brought to her door, leaving her unsure of who she really is and much less what she'll do, leaving her to question if there's a monster within her or if there's a villain toying with her from the outside. So there are the X's. And the author, Leodora, is actually a editor in the UK. So this was her, her first novel, and it was really fun to see her at a book lunch where she's on the other side of the table this time. Next, we've got Family Drama by Rebecca Fallon. It's coming on February 3rd. Been hearing so much about this book. I've got a copy in the other room. I'm dying to read it. In 1997, two befuddled 7-year-olds watch as their mother's body is tipped overboard a crumbling boat, a Viking funeral, followed by a raucous wake. A send-off fit for soap opera star Susan Bliss. 15 years earlier, Susan is a beautiful young woman who is passionate about her art. It's impossible not to fall in love with her, and so Alcott, a practical professor, does, hopelessly in love. This leads to an unconventional arrangement that takes Susan back and forth between her life in New England as a wife and mother and the bright lights of Los Angeles, where she becomes a beloved star of a daytime soap. In the present, Susan's twins grow up in the shadow of her all consuming absence. Sebastian, a sensitive artist, cleaves to her memory. Viola, resentful of Susan's torn allegiances, distances herself from the memories of her. But when Viola runs into her mother's old co star, Orson Gray, now a renowned Hollywood star, she finds herself falling deeply in love and begins to put together the pieces of the mother that she never really knew. Sounds like a really interesting story. It's something that we haven't seen before, and I just know there's a lot of excitement in house about it. Claire Leslie Hall, who wrote Broken Country, is calling it magnificent. And actually, it is being edited by the same woman that edited Broken Country. In fact, I have to reach out to her because it really does sound terrific. Every once in a while, I get to hear an editor that's like in a zone. That's something that you can feel like that you can get interest to readers and be interested in yourself. And it's kind of interesting then because I never think about, oh, this is such and such an editor and this is one of their books. And I've been thinking about that more and more recently because usually if somebody's got some kind of a taste that I usually like a lot of what's coming out from them. So it was really interesting to see it was the same editor last night. Now we've got It's Not Her by Mary Kubica is coming on February 3rd. Courtney Gray's tranquil family vacation is shattered when she hears a blood-curdling scream from the lakeside cottage next door. There she finds the lifeless bodies of her brother and sister-in-law. Her teenage niece Reese is nowhere to be found, while her nephew Wyatt lies asleep upstairs unharmed. As the police descend on the quiet resort town, disturbing secrets about Courtney's family start to emerge. When she learns that the town has secrets of its own, it makes her wonder if Reese is another victim in a brutal crime or if she's the killer. As Courtney begins to unravel the terrible mystery, she realizes that everyone around her has something to hide. And the closer she gets to the truth, the harder it is to see. Okay, when Randy Chan from the publisher was talking about this book last week, he said this is Mary at her absolute best. He said this thing twists and twists and twists right until the end, and you won't guess what the ending's going to be. So during Book Group Street Dating, we heard that about the book. Next, we hear We Were Never Friends by Kara Ruda, coming on February 3rd. The sorority sisters of Theta Gamma Mu, Roxy, Amelia, Jamie, Beth, and Sunny, have been summoned to Roxy's luxurious Palm Springs vacation home to celebrate the engagement of her son to Beth's daughter. But the refurbished 1920s estate is eerily reminiscent of the hotel where tragedy struck during spring break 25 years ago. Long simmering tensions and shocking secrets begin bubbling to the surface like bodies, because while the weekend was supposed to be about celebrating the future, it's not so easy to bury the past. So there we've got We Were Never Friends by Kara Ruda, February 3rd. From Greg Hurwitz, we've got the latest in his Orphan X series, Anti-Hero, coming February 10th. Once a black ops assassin for the government known as Orphan X, Evan Smoke broke with the program and went into deep underground, using his operational rules and skills to help the truly desperate with nowhere else to turn. Well, Luke Devine, one of the most powerful women and men in the world, has a psychological crisis. Evan flies to the East Coast to help him. And while there, he learns of a young woman who was kidnapped off a New York City subway, clearly in danger and in need of aid. No name, few clues, Evan and his team track down the missing woman who was assaulted and abandoned. Evan offers his help and sets out finding the young man responsible, but the woman insists that Evan abandon his usual methods, no vengeance, and in particular, no killing, which will prove no easy feat given the mounting and coming threats from all sides. So there we've got an Orphan X novel set in New York. Next, we've got A Better Life by Lionel Shriver. It is coming on February 10th. Gloria Bonaventura, a divorced mother of three, living with her 26-year-old son Nico in a sprawling house in Brooklyn, decides to participate in a new city program that would pay her to take in a migrant as boarder. Gloria is thrilled when the sweet, kind, helpful Martine arrives, but Nico's skeptical. A classic live-at-home Gen Zer with no interest in adulthood, Nico resents any interruption of his hovercraft repose. As the months go by, Martine endears herself to both of Nico's sisters while finding her way into Gloria's heart and even briefly Nico's. But as Martine's disturbingly dodgy compatriots begin to show up, Nico conceives a dark twin hostile to both his mother's altruism and the migrant crisis in general, and turns out to be anything but a reliable narrator himself. So there's The Better Life by Lionel Shriver. Next, we've got Keeper of Lost Children by Sadika Johnson. You know that many of you loved her book, The House of Eve. This is coming on February 10th. Ethel Gathers, the proud wife of an American officer, is living in occupied Germany in the 1950s. After discovering a local orphanage filled with the abandoned mixed race children of German women and Black American GIs, Ethel feels compelled to help find these children homes. Philadelphia-born Ozzie Phillips volunteers for the recently desegregated Army in 1948, eager to make his mark in the world. While serving in Mannheim, Germany, he meets a local woman, Jelka, and the two embark on a relationship that will impact their lives forever. In 1965, Maryland, Sophie Clark is given an opportunity to attend a prestigious all-white boarding school and escape her heartless parents. And while at the school, she discovers a secret that upends her world and sends her on a quest to unravel her own identity. Toggling between the lives of these three individuals, Keeper of Lost Children explores how one woman's vision will change the course of countless lives. And once again, this was another book that was discussed during book group speed dating. We know that Sadiq is, fabulous with her bringing up topics that people have not thought about or talked about before, and I think she's done it once again here. Okay, this is Not All About Us by Allegra Goodman, coming on February 10th. Had the pleasure of meeting her at a book preview as well. When their beloved sister passes away, Sylvia and Helen Rubenstein are unmoored. Misunderstanding about apple cake turns into a decade of stubborn silence. Busy with their own lives, divorces, dating, career setbacks, college applications, bat mitzvahs, and ballet recitals, their children do not want to get involved. As for their grandchildren, impossible. This is Not About Us. It's a story about growing up and growing old, the weight of parental expectations, and the complex connection between sisters. And Allegra wants everyone to know that this has nothing about her family is in this book, though they probably will see themselves. She's the best-selling author of Isola. So there you've got, once again, a book group speed dating title. Next, we've got The Astral Library by Kate Quinn, coming February 17th. Alexandria Alex Watson has learned one lesson from her barren childhood in the foster care system. Unlike people, books will never let you down. Working three dead-end jobs to make ends meet and knowing college is a pipe dream, Alex takes nightly refuge in the high-vaulted reading room at the Boston Public Library, escaping into her favorite fantasy novels and dreaming of far-off lands. Until the day she stumbles through a hidden door and meets the librarian, the ageless, acerbic guardian of a hidden library where the desperate and the lost escape to new lives inside their favorite books. The librarian takes a dazzled Alex under her wing, but before she can escape into the pages of her new life, a shadowy enemy emerges to threaten everyone the Astral Library has ever helped to protect. So this is a very different book for those of you who have used to be reading historical fiction coming from Kate. So give it a try. Next, from Steve Berry, we've got The Devil's Bible, which is coming on February 17th. Former Justice Department operative Cotton Malone is called to Sweden when the younger sister of King Wilhelm I is kidnapped. The ransom demand: hand over an 800-year-old book, the Codex Gigas, the largest illuminated medieval manuscript in the world. Claimed as war loot from Bohemia in 1648, it's kept in Stockholm for nearly 400 years. Along the way, it's also acquired another more mysterious moniker, the Devil's Bible. Now the Czech Republic wants the Codex back, and Sweden has agreed to return it, but the forces are at work to stop that deal from happening. The likely instigator? Russia, which is also at the top of the list for possible kidnappers. It's up to Cotton and Cassiopeia Witt to locate the king's sister, secure the codex, and thwart the Russians. Yet, here we go, guys. This is the line you've been waiting for. Nothing is as it seems. I think it's the first time I've done it today, though. Just so you know, let's see if I have to do it again. When I Kill You by B.A. Paris, and you know her as the author of Behind Closed Doors. coming February 17th. Nell Masters is certain somebody's following her. The hairs on her back and of her neck rise when she travels to and from work. Simon calls to her office, and a huge bouquet of flowers arrives without a card. I think I take the flowers. And now has reason to be looking over her shoulder because she has a secret she's been hiding from everyone in her life, including her new partner, Alex. But Alex has secrets of his own. 14 years earlier, Nell witnessed a student, Brioni Sanders, getting into a stranger's car. Brioni was found murdered. Elle became obsessed with finding the person responsible. She was convinced she knew who it was. And her fixation with Brett Parker, the man she accused, led her down a dangerous path. Now Nell tries to convince herself that this unnerving feeling of being watched is all in her mind. Has someone from her past discovered her new identity? Has a stalker become the stalked? Or is there something more deadly at prey? So there's the name, When I Kill You. Next from Lauren Groff, we've got Brawler. It's a collection of stories. And watched a preview. I was catching up last night, watching a couple of previews, and heard her talking about this book coming on February 24th. Ranging from the 1950s to present day and moving across age, class, and region, from New York to Florida, California, these 9 stories reflect and expand upon a shared theme: the ceaseless battle between humans, dark and light angels. In every human, there's both an animal and a god wrestling unto death, one character tells us. Among those we see caught in this match are a young woman suddenly responsible for her disabled sibling, a hot tempered high school swimmer in need of an adult, a mother blinded by the loss of her family, and a banking scion endowed with a different kind of inheritance. Motivated by love, impeded by the edges of other people's good intentions, they try to do the right thing for as long as they can. And the picture is really interesting on the cover because Lauren, for years, was a competitive swimmer when she was young, and they showed some pictures of her doing that. And now she said that one thing she doesn't want to do is swim in a pool. She likes to go swim in a lake because you never know what you're going to see and find. You never know what's going to be up on the rocks. You never know the little critters that are going to be in the water when you're swimming. And she says, as a result, she loves going out and swimming this one particular pond or any big bodies of water like that. So here we've got Brawler. Next from Tayari Jones, we've got Kin. It has been a long time since we've had a book from her. Wrote The American Marriage, which I absolutely loved, An American Marriage. And she actually wrote a piece on Facebook these last couple of weeks. She's been writing all the reason her writing has been delayed because the last book was a while ago. So she puts exactly what's happened to her through all these years. So it was really, really fun, including there was a big tour that happened when American Marriage came out. I also remember for that book was the first time she had a book club lunch and or a book lunch, like a preview lunch from the publisher. And I remember sitting there going, I just can't believe this. This is so exciting. I'm getting my lunch. We never used to get to do this thing, and now I'm the person that's getting to do it. And she was really quite fun that day. So here's coming February 24th. Vernice and Annie, two motherless daughters raised in Honeysuckle, Louisiana, have been best friends and neighbors since early childhood, but they are fated to live starkly different lives. Raised by a fierce aunt determined to give her a stable home in the wake of her mother's death, Vernica leaves Honeysuckle at 18 for Spelman College, where she joins a sisterhood of powerfully connected Black women and discovers a world of affluence, manners, aspiration, and inequality. Annie, abandoned by her mother as a child and fixated on the idea of finding her and filling the bottomless hole that has left her by her absence, sets off on a journey that will take her into a world of peril and adversity, as well as love and adventure, culminating in a battle for her life. So there you've got Kin, and that's a very pretty cover. Next, we've got More Than Enough by Anna Quinlan, coming on February 24th. High school English teacher Polly Goodman can talk about everything and anything with the women in her book club, which is why they become her closest friends, and along with her veterinarian husband, the bedrock of her life. Her students, her fraught relationship with her mother, her struggles with IVF, Polly's book club friends have heard about it all. But when they give Polly an ancestry test as a joke, the results match her with a stranger. It's clear to Polly that this match is a mistake, but she still can't help but comb through her family history for answers. When it seems that the book club circle of 4 will become 3, Polly learns how friendships can change your life in the most profound ways. She's the author of After Annie. For many of us, Book clubs are places where you not only go talk about books, but talk about everything and anything as well. We definitely dish talking about The Correspondent, the first book that we all liked. And we are now all reading Heart the Lover. And I'm getting great feedback on that. But once we get done with the book, we definitely talk and we call it the Hive. Everything that happens there stays there. So there is another side of book club. Yeah, we do the book. They do a lot of wine and we do a lot of talking. Okay, for November, December, these are the notable paperback releases. We've got Share, which is now available. We've got From Here to the Great Unknown, which I actually listened to and enjoyed by Lisa Marie Presley and Riley Keough. We've got Like Mother, like Susan Reiger. And I interviewed her about that book. We've got The Mighty Red by Louise Erdrich, Rental House by Wiki Wang, A Very Inconvenient Scandal by Jacqueline Michard, Citizen by Bill Clinton, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennifer McCurdy, Georgia Hunter's One Good Thing, and I interviewed her about that as well. Sola by Allegra Goodman, The Note by Alafair Burke, which was a Betson, and Alice Feeney's Beautiful Ugly, which was also a Betson. So there's what you've got. This is what's happening now. Okay, so far I have 39 bets on selections so far this year. I know I'm going to 40, and where I'm going from there, I'm not quite sure. So you take a look, somebody at the end of the year is going to win all these books, and other people are going to win a divisible number of them. So this is the moment where I'm going to either read 40, 42, I'm going to read 44. Tom says I have to do math if I'm going to be figuring out what I'm going to read going forward. So just know that it's got to be some divisible number. That's my challenge at this point. Next. Okay, these are recently Talks to videos and podcasts. I had the pleasure of talking to Alex DeMille about the Tin Man that he wrote with his dad, Nelson DeMille. We did some great reminiscing about Nelson as well as talking about the book. And Lily King's Heart the Lover, the book that my book club has been reading in one afternoon, just the way I did. She was terrific. I'm definitely going to get her on for a book club when the book comes out in paperback or when her schedule comes down. Absolutely terrific. Love Heart the Lover. I was out today and there was somebody that's saying she reads a lot of romance and she was trying to figure out how to read other books. And I recommended The Correspondent on audio to her. I recommended Heart the Lover and Broken Country. And I said, it's kind of thing, if you've been reading in the romance world and you want to move into a different genres and looking at different things, those were the three books I was recommending right now. Okay, we've got our holiday cheer contest running. So far, the contest has been for the last call at the Savoy. These other four books are going to be given away on different weeks. Will be announced on the next one's on Tuesday, November 18th at noon. We're not doing a contest, if I remember correctly, the week of Thanksgiving. The contests go up on Tuesday. They're up for 24 hours. It's great to get something for you, or hey, you can win a present for somebody else and look like a hero. One person knocked off your holiday list. Just keep that in mind, folks. Okay, we've also got what to give, what to get. We've got four selections of books that would be great for giving and getting this holiday season. So take a look at those. You got somebody on your list that will be perfect for every single one of these books. So give them a look as well. Because this is the season, guys. Remember, wrapping books is really easy. They're rectangles. They're just a little bit thick. Very, very easy to do. So keep that in mind. Okay, I was talking about word of mouth before. You could win the David Baldacci Nash Falls and John Irving's Queen Esther. You entered to win both of these. Now, guys, I really want to see a lot of entries for this because all you've got to do is go out and tell us what you're reading and rate it and tell us what you're thinking about this book. Okay, you've got till Friday, November 14th, two books. You're not interested? Just think about holiday presents on top of everything else or reading and sharing with your book group. Just remember, Friday, November 14th at noon, we want to see lots and lots of entries because we like to comb through and see what you're reading as well. Come on, you're not sharing with us enough. Next, okay, we're celebrating 25 years of reading group guides. I can't believe it. I mean, come here, I'm only 27. How can this be happening? So, with this contest, you can enter to win 25 of the most discussed books of the last quarter century from 2000 to 2024. And we had so much fun book picking the books. The deadline for your entries is Monday, December 1st at noon. And be sure to check out our 25th anniversary feature, which includes the most looked for guides of 24 and 25, tips for book groups, and much, much more. There's the URL for this. You can also get to it on Reading Group Guides and I think off of Book Reporter. But guys, we've got this in the newsletter. We want to see lots of entries and we want to see somebody's going to win 25 books. I mean, come on, there, even if you've read them, holiday giving. Keep thinking, folks. Next, oh, besides, wait a second, let me go back on that. Besides somebody winning all, we've got 5 people are going to win a collection of 5 as well. So I've got all these books in my house, and I'm really looking to get like my bookshelves back. So you do want to go out and enter. Next, we've got our 25th anniversary book group survey. Enter it with your book club. Enter it on your own. Tell the members of your book club to go do this because somebody is going to win a $250 gift certificate to the bookstore of your choice. That could be a to me from me present, which is one of my favorite kind of gifts to give is to me from me. I'm really good at doing that. Once again, you could use it for buying gifts and there's some second prizes as well. Also gift cards. Got to get out there and answer by Monday on December 1st. We haven't done a survey like this in 10 years. So we're dying to know what's happening with book clubs. You're not in a book club, tell somebody else and tell them they got to split the gift card with you. Okay, there you go. The gift card's yours too if you win. Okay, we've got our next Bookaccino Live book group event, and I am very excited about this one, and I want to see a lot of you there. Claire Leslie Hall is going to join us to discuss Broken Country, a Reese's Book Club pick, and one of my book reporter bets on selections. She's coming Wednesday, November 19th. That's next Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Why are we doing cool at 2 o'clock and not 8 o'clock at night? Because she lives in the UK and she doesn't want to be up at 1 to 2 a.m. to talk to us. She's fantastic. I interviewed her when she was in New Jersey. Such a great time. And I know she's really looking forward to this event. So I would love to see you there and bring friends as well, because she's really interesting to talk to and the background on this book and how long it took her to write it. So really, really interesting. Looking forward to seeing a lot of you there next week. And on the evening of December 10th, we are going to have a special Bookaccino Live evening event. This is one of our favorite events of the year, and we know it's really popular with you as well. Our book reporter reviewers are going to talk about their favorite books of 2025. Wednesday, December 10th at 8 o'clock, and sign up available on Book Reporter and Reading Group Guides. And also know that we'll be sending out this, like if you can't sign up for like right here, we'll be sending this out when we send follow up to this presentation as well. Okay, our next Bookaccino Live book preview afternoon event is going to be a preview of books coming from January 13th to February 3rd and a peek ahead at March. I mean, seriously, folks, March. We're going to do this on Wednesday, January 14th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Remember, we've got TBR Network events. We've got a place where you can go and sign up for all our events. Just tick down the page, whichever that you're interested, and get out on Zoom and sign up for them. And with that, for those of you I'm not seeing for the rest of the year, we're wishing you an absolutely brilliant holiday season and all the best for the new year. But we're hoping we see you at least one or two. I mean, come on, Claire Leslie Hall, come on, you want to go to that. And you definitely want to see our reviewers talking about their books. So everybody, thank you very much for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you next time for Bookaccino Live.